خب خوش آمد میگم به عزیزانی که به همون جوین شدن. من فرجاد پورمحمد هستم، یک مشتاق استارتاپ با نهمین دوره از نهمین رویداد آنلاین استارتاپ و استارتاپ ویزا در خدمتتون هستیم. همونطور که چند دقیقه پیش گفتم این رویداد ساب مجلس یکی دیگه است. من خودم اینجا مهمونم، اما چون نیستش ما خودمون داریم شروع میکنیم. 8 دورهمی خیلی خوب رو برگزار کردیم با حضور همه عزیزان و واقعا تجربیات خیلی خیلی جذابی حداقل به خود من انتقال داده شد. امیدوارم که بقیه همینطوری بوده باشن، همین حس رو دست داشته باشن. و توی دورهمی هفتم دیگه چیزی برای گفتن وجود نداشت بی‌طرف، یعنی فرق میکنه آرزو تا عمل. ما آرزو داشتیم که هر 2 هفته یه بار این دورهمی رو برگزار کنیم و تجربیات رو منتقل کنیم، اما انقدر خوب پیش رفت که توی دورهمی هفتم دیگه علنا محتوایی وجود نداشت برای انتقال و تمام تجربیات خیلی یونیک منتقل شده بود. البته شاید یه خودم کوتاهی ما بود که منظم نبودیم، اما باعث شد که چون اصلا اولین بار بود که یه همچین رویدادهایی برگزار میشد، یه جوری خودمونم MVP رفتیم جلو دیگه، یعنی محصولمون دادیم بالا، بعد گفت ببینیم که کاربر چی تمایل داره، به همون سمت هم کشیده شدیم. درود خان دکتر. بعد همین تو دورهمی هفتم دوستان پیشنهاد دادن که یه خورده تخصصی ترش کنیم، اما اینکه چجوری تخصصی کنیم رو به نتیجه نرسیده بودیم. تا اینکه به این نقطه رسیدیم که با یه سری از این سازمانی که باشون کار میکنیم بریم صحبت کنیم و این قول بزرگ رو بشکنیم. یه مشکلی که توی اکوسیستم استارتاپ وجود داشت این بودش که یعنی داره هنوزم اینه که دوستانی که تیمای واقعی هستن میترسن برن مصاحبه یا اصلا نمیدونن با چی کار بکنن، مسیر رو بلد نیستن در اصل. و خب یه سری آدم ها مؤسسات وکلا و یه سری آدم های شارلاتان مثل من وجود دارن این وسط که میان از این عدم آگاهی سوء استفاده میکنیم و یه پول بزرگی میگیریم و چیزی که شاید خیلی راحت‌تر اتفاق بیفته با یه پول بزرگ حلش میکنیم در اصل. برای همین تصمیم گرفتیم که این دورهمیه رو یه خورده منظم‌تر یه چند تا دورهمیش کنیم. یکیش اینه که تا الان با حدوداً 11 تا یا 12 تا از اینکیوبیتور رو توافق کردیم و انجل ها و ویسی ها که همشون اینکیوبیتور هستن دیگه، که خودشون مستقیم میان صحبت کنن بگن آقا دقیقاً من اینکیوبیتور چی میخوام، من انجل چی میخوام، و شما تیم استارتاپ هم مستقیم همینجا صحبت میکنید باشون و متوجه میشید که چجوری باید باشون ارتباط بگیرید و میرید واسه مصاحبه و امیدوارم که هر روز پیشرفت کنید. این مطمئنا هر روز پیشرفت میکنید. یه بخش دیگه ای که خورد شد بحث تخصصی بودن توی رشته بودش که اولیش رو هفته پیش برگزار کردیم برای دوستان عمران. عرضم به حضورتون که و فکر کنم که اونم جذاب بود نظرم، با اینکه یه بخشی از عزیزانی که حضور داشتن عمرانی نبودن، اما به نظرم جذاب اومد میتینگ هم، یعنی این اینطوری شد دور همی اون است. تا اینکه امروز اولین رویداد آنلاین مصاحبه با اینکیوبیتوره و نهمین در اصل رویداد آنلاین نمونه دور همیمونه، تا ببینیم که تا یه 20 دقیقه دیگه خود اینکیوبیتور هم جوین میشه، ببینیم که چجوری پیش میره. خود یزدان هست و دوستان دیگه هم هستن توی میتینگ که زبانشون خوبه، میتونید یعنی یا میتونید فارسی صحبت کنید و حالا یزدان یا من یا حالا بقیه دوستان ترجمه کنن واسه اینکیوبیتور، و اینکیوبیتور هم وقتی که انگلیسی صحبت میکنه مثلا ما این ور یه جوری فارسی ترنسلیت کنیم. اما الزام ورود شما به پروسه استارتاپ ویزا اینه که انگلیسی بلد باشید، حداقل در همین حدی که بدونید اینها چجوری صحبت میکنن و بتونید جوابشون رو بدید. این یه جور تمرین محسوب میشه، پس ترجیحاً یه خورده به خودمون سخت بگیریم و سعی کنیم که انگلیسی صحبت کنیم. آره خلاصش این بودش که این دوره همی ها رو یه خورده تخصصی ترش کردیم، چند بخشش کردیم که بتونیم یعنی این داستان استارتاپ ویزا یه خورده تسهیل ببخشیم، یه خورده آسان‌ترش کنیم و اون قوله بزرگی که از بیرون قوله متوجه بشید که چیز خاصی نیست و خیلی راحت میتونید با اینکیوبیتور ارتباط بگیرید، خودتون پیش برید و به جاهای خیلی جذاب و خفن هم برسید. ما توی این دورهمی‌ها هیچ سود مالی نداره تیم ما، فقط برگزار کننده است. یعنی این تسهیل کردنه شاید از بیرون واسه ما اینطوری باشه که آقا این چه بازار رو دارن کوچیک میکنن. خیلی این سوال از من حداقل پرسیده شد که این کاری که دارید میکنید، خب دارید بازار رو خراب میکنید، دارید بازار کوچیک‌تر میکنید، آدم‌ها یاد میگیرن میرن خودشون انجام میدن. کسی که بخواد خودش انجام بده حقشه که خودش انجام بده. همونطور که من خودم کلی وقت گذاشتم واسه تیم خودم، منو شریکم و خودمون انجام دادیم، یا دوستان دیگه که خودشون هستن و بی‌طرف این مسیر نیستش که تنهایی نشه انجامش داد. تو تمام مصاحبه‌ای هم که تا امروز داشتیم یکی از جملات ثابتمون همین بودش که این مسیر خودتون میتونید انجام بدید. اون هزینه‌ای که ما میگیریم هزینه‌ایه که زمان شما رو کمتر میکنیم در اصل. پس ما سود مالی تو این قضیه نداریم، ولی یه سود خیلی بزرگتر داریم. یک جمعی از دوستانی که به شدت با ارزش هستن داره شکل میگیره و داره هر روزم بزرگ و بزرگتر میشه و این واسه هم جذابه. ارتباط مثلا ما با خانم دکتر چگینی از همین طریق بوده و باعث افتخار بنده است که دایره دوستیم داره بزرگتر میشه با همچین آدم‌ها یا حالا عزیزان دیگه‌ای که کم و بیش توی میتینگ‌ها هستن. درود بر تو مهدی مشکانی عزیز.
مرسی، ممنون از تیمتون. واقعا بچه‌ها خیلی کمک میکنن، واقعا تو بدترین شرایط حتی مریضیشونم واقعا با من همراهی میکنن. آرش جون، شیدا جون من خیلی اذیتشون میکنم، انشالله بتونیم براشون جبران کنیم.
خواهش میکنم خانم دکتر. کلا تیممون هر کمک کرد دستش بر بیاد تا اونجایی که واسه خودمون هزینه مالی نداشته باشه سعی میکنیم که انجام بدیم بی‌طرف.
بله واقعا از نظر مالی خیلی خیلی نهایت همکاری رو با من کردن. واقعا ممنون ازتون.
خواهش میکنم. مرسی از شما، مرسی از انرژی خوبتون. خب سلام عادی.
فرجاد جان سلام، روز بخیر.
خوبی عزیزم، مخلص. مرسی که مثل همیشه حمایت میکنی و هستی. عرضم به حضورتون که دوستان اگر سوالی رو از اینکیوبیتور یا از پروسه دارید میخواید الان بگید که خود با هم دیگه تمرین کنیم تا فکر کنید 10 دقیقه دیگه است اگر اشتباه نکنم. 10 دقیقه دیگه خود اینکیوبیتور هم جوین میشه.
ببخشید من یه سوالی بپرسم، حالا نمیدونم تکراری هم باشه یا نه. کارهایی که ما انجام میدیم، من خودم طبق روال هر کاری که انجام میدم، حالا چه ماهانه غیر ماهانه، هر موقع که انجام میشه من برای انکوباتور میفرستم. این تأثیری داره توی به قول معروف یک سری حالا چیزهایی که حالا منجر به پیار میشه؟ چون خب خیلی ها دنبال پیارن، حالا من بحثم جداست، ولی خب خیلی هم دنبال پیارن و خیلی هم دغدغه‌شون هستش که آیا یک رابطه مثبتی بین این چیزایی که ما برای انکوباتور میفرستیم، حتی ما تکس هایی که برای شرکتمون هم میفرستیم، انوال ریپورت هامون هم برای انکوباتور میفرستیم، گزارش میدیم، آیا اینا تأثیری داره تو روند پروسه؟ یعنی کمک میکنه به اینکه حالا آفیسر تا حدی قانع بشه، راضی بشه؟
آفیسر اینا رو نمیبینه.
جدی؟
چون اصلا به دستش نمیرسه. چه زمانی میبینه؟ زمانی میبینه که خود آفیسر بخواد به پرونده گیر بده. خب وقتی به پرونده بخواد گیر بده به هر علتی، یا به واقع یا غیر واقع یا حفظ یا هر چیزی، به اینکیوبیتور ایمیل میزنه، ازشون سوال میپرسه، میگه که مثلا مثال دارم میگم گزارش سالیانه‌شون اصلا بهم بدید. پس اینجا ارزش پیدا میکنه این کار شما. یعنی شما کارتون رو انجام دادید، به اینکیوبیتور دادید، فراتر از وظیفتون هم انجام دادید. مثلا این وظیفه اینکیوبیتوره که بخواد از شما گزارش بخواد شما رو فالوآپ کنه و پس شما فراتر از اون چیزی که باید انجام دادید دیگه، و اینجا شما کارتون انجام دادید، مشکلی سمت شما نخواهد بود و اگر هم اتفاقی بیفته خود اینکیوبیتور مستقیم باید پاسخگو باشه. پس این کاری که انجام میدید 2000 بار بهتون تبریک میگم. خیلی کار خوب و جذابیه.
خب یه مورد دیگه، الان ما زمانی که از ما آپدیت مدارک میخوان، اینها رو همه رو ما باید برای آفیسر بفرستیم دیگه، یعنی کل مدارک رو باید براشون بفرستیم دیگه، یعنی هر چی که از ما بخوان ما همه اینا رو باید داکیومنتش رو بفرستیم
همه آن
برای
چیزی که اونها میخوان. بله اضافه تر نفرستید چیزی خودتون توی
چون
چاله
پرونده ما
نندازید.
کاغذیه، پرونده ما کاغذی. مشکل ما الان اینه که من دچار دوگانگی شدم و واقعا نمیدونم چی کار کنم.
عرضم به حضورتون که پرونده کاغذی خود داستان دارن و یه خود سخت بررسی میشن. زمان زیادی هم به پرونده میخوره. نمیدونم چند وقت حساب میکردی؟
تقریبا 2 سال شده دیگه، 2020.
من فکر کنم 1 سال دیگه هم فکر کنم تو پروسه باشید. کلا پرونده‌های کاغذی، آره پرونده کاغذی خود داستانشون عجیب غریبه.
بله.
یه خود هم متاسفم براتون، همین که بالاخره باید صبر کنید، کاریش نمیشه کرد.
کاری نداریم دیگه.
بله.
مرسی.
خواهش می‌کنم. مهدی مشکانی عزیز،
من میخواستم اینجا اضافه کنم که بچه‌ها که خب همه کسایی که تو این جلسات شرکت میکنن همه واقعا دارای بیزینس استارتاپ هستن. دو دیلیجنس اصلی خودشون انجام بدن. یعنی همونطور که فرجاد گفت جدا از اون قسمتی که آفیسر گیر میده، خب یه مرحله دیگه هم داریم که احتمالش رو بدین که خیلی‌ها بخورن به اون مرحله پیر ریویو. اون مرحله پیر ریویو هم خیلی به دردتون میخوره این گزارش‌ها که بگین آقا ما کارمون رو انجام دادیم دیگه، یعنی طبق مایلستونی که داشتیم گزارشاتمون رو دادیم و پیشرفتمون رو داشتیم. اینو حتما انجام بدن بچه.
آره اینم عالی.
بله مرسی.
یه خانم چگینی دیگه هم داریم. بفرمایید خانم چگینی دیگه.
سلام، عصر ما بخیر، ظهر شما بخیر. فکر کنم الان اونجا ظهر باشه.
وقت شما بخیر. ساعت 10:30 صبح.
وقت شما بخیر. خب صبحتون بخیر. پس ممنون، واقعا شما خیلی کلا همیشه وقت گذاشتین و همه چیز شفاف سازی کردیم و ممنون حالا بقیه بچه‌ای که کمک میکنن. من راستش این چند روز یه سری مسائل ذهنمو درگیر کردم که حالا فکر کنم از شما بپرسم کلا بهتره این موضوع. یه موضوعی داشتم میخوندم که فکر میکنم کانادا گفته که 500,000 تا پناهجوی فلسطینی رو میتونه ساپورت بکنه که بیان به کانادا. خواستم ببینم اگر این اتفاقه، حالا نمیدونم چقدر صحت داره یا نه این موضوع، ولی از طریق یه نفر که ساکن کانادا هست من کلا این خبر رو گرفتم. و آیا این مشکلی ایجاد نمیکنه که مثلا میدونیم میخوام ببینم که این، چون قاعدتا یه فلسطینی اگه پاشو بذاره اولویت داره به یه کار استارتاپ، من خودم حداقل اینجوری فکر میکنم، این چیزی ایجاد نمیکنه که بخواد این تایم LOS گرفتن و سابمیت گرفتن دیرتر بشه برای ما که میخوایم استارتاپی اقدام کنیم. یکی هم این که اون مدارکی که برای سابمیت کردن نیاز داریم رو شما کمکمون میکنین که پر کنیم، یا این اصلا کلا یه پروسه جدایی که خودمون باید انجام بدیم؟ و
راجع به فلسطین واقعا من در رکورد میشه دیگه. عرضم به حضورتون که طبق تجربه، یعنی هم افغانستان هم اوکراین پناهجو گرفت، خب و همه چیز رو به هم ریخت. یعنی همه چیز، این که میگم همه چیز، حتی به من آدم میشناختم اینجا، پدر مادرش اینجا بودن، 5 سال پدر مادرشون اون اسپانسرشیپ والدینشون تمام شده بود و نمیتونستن تمدید کنن و با هزار بدبختی زنگ زدن به نماینده پارلمان، از نماینده پارلمان وقت گرفتن فلان، یه پروسه 5-6 ماهه رو غیرقانونی اینجا مونده بودن دیگه. اون 5 سالشون تمام شده بود، دیگه غیرقانونی میشد دیگه، باید خروج میکردن. با هزار بدبختی و اینا 2-3 تا نماینده پارلمان پیدا کردن، وقت گرفتن که اون مدتی که این داستان اوکراین، اول افغانستان بود بعد اوکراین بود، نه اول اوکراین بود بعد افغانستان بود، این دوتا تموم بشه و بعد تازه اسپانسرشیپ والدینشون تمدید بشه. و الان 1.5 سال که هنوز توی پروسه تمدیده، نه اینکه صدور جدیده، توی پروسه تمدیده و اصلا اینجا دارن زندگی میکنن. یه نکته دیگه این که بعید میدونم که فلسطین رو یا مردم اون سرزمین رو بخوان پناهنده قبول کنن، چون که خود مشکلات ژئوپلیتیک الان داره تو دنیا به وجود میاد سر همین مسائل که فکر کنم توی مدیا دارید میبینید. البته ما هممون چیزی میگه واژگان سخت اینجوری صحبت کردن. مدیا ذهن ما رو شکل میده در اصل و اون چیزی که مدیا نشون میده آره سیاسی نپرسیم ولی یه خورده دور از ذهنمه که اون سرزمین آدم‌هاش مهاجرت کنن کانادا یا اگر مهاجرت کنن از روندهای طبیعی مهاجرت میکنن و اون سرزمین رو دور اطرافیاش گردن نگرفتن دیگه.
خب اوکی.
آره
بعد در مورد سابمیت کردن و پر کردن
اگر در تعهد تیم ما باشه یعنی یا با تیم ما باشید بله در خدمتتون هستیم. اگر در خدمتتون هم نباشیم که فکر کنم یکی دو تا از عزیزانی که فکر کنم توی همین میتینگ هستن
بله آقای درختانم
چیز اصلا باشون هیچ قراردادی نداریم اما کمک کردیم که این کارها انجام بشه. یعنی هر سوالی بوده کمک کردیم و پاسخ که بلد بودیم پاسخ دادیم. بعد
ممنون مرسی.
خواهش میکنم. سعید رضای عزیز دستت بالا عزیزم.
بله سلام، وقت همگی بخیر. من از فرصت استفاده کنم، فرصت رو غنیمت بشمارم. جناب فرجاد قرار بود که بابت ویزا اوپن بشه، هنوز گویا نشده، درسته؟
خیر هنوز نشده.
البته من یه چیزی بگم دوستان، 2 تا از دوستای ما اقدام کرده بودن بهشون اوپن 3 ساله داده بودن، مثل ما استارتاپ بودن، ولی ماه قبلش که یکی از دوستای خود صمیمی من اقدام کرده بود بهش نداده بودن. منم خب الان دارم استارت اکستند شدن رو میزنم، میتونم حالا فیدبک ها رو بهتون بدم، ولی میگم 2 تا از آقایونی که اکستند کرده بودن همین ماه پیش اوپن بهشون داده بودن 3 ساله. من احساس میکنم یک ذره دارن چیز شخصی عمل میکنن. من احساس
اجرایی شده علی خبر هنوز
علنی اعلام نکردن
نمیکنن، دارن یه ببینن احتمالاً آمار میگن که ببینن خود افراد کیا دارن مثلا با این روش میخوان علاقه‌مندایی که سابمیت میکنن حالا نان اسنشال هستن یا آمارگیری دارن میکنن ولی اجرایی شده دارن انجام میدن. منم شنیدم اینو هنوز خبر نهایی رو اعلام نکردن این روی سایت.
من نظر دارم باشه بخیر. درود بر صاحب مجلس اولا یزدان صالحی عزیز. عرفان عزیز سلام عزیزم، یه دستت بالا بود بفرما.
درود وقت همگی بخیر. من راجع به این موضوع میخواستم بگم که حالا شما که فرجاد جان در جریان هستی، یه هفته پیش بود که نه 2 هفته پیش بود که هم تیمی ما پاس ریکوست شد و موضوع تمدید هم نبود. ورک از مبدأ ایران پروفایل خاصی هم نداشت ولی ایشون اوپن 3 ساله گرفت، عضو اسنشیال.
اینم یکی دیگه از نمونه‌های زنده.
پس حل شده دیگه، علنی نشده
احتمالاً. بله.
خیلی ممنون از
خواهش میکنم
توضیحات دوستان. جناب فرجاد وقت است من یه سوال دیگه هم بپرسم یا
الان دیگه من هیچ کارم الان خود صاحب مجلس اومده، من خودم الان من یه مهمونی بیش نیستم.
من میگم یزدان پینش کن بی زحمت که بالا باش.
سلام، وقتتون بخیر خدمت همگی. Hi Mohammed, how are you?
Hello Yasin, good, how are you?
So guys, this is Mohammed from the Innovation Factory. Farjad, please, can you I can do this. All right. Hi everyone, I'm Yazdan Salehi from the Visa Roads, and now we have the pleasure to be with Mohammed from the Innovation Factory, and we're gonna talk about first I think the startup visa, and then we can have the Q&A section that if you guys have any questions, we are all here to answer. And I'm so happy to be in this meeting. So Mohammed, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit for our guests, and you can have your presentation?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much for inviting me, Yazdan, and thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all taking time to listen to this webinar. Should I just start sharing right away? All right.
Yeah, go on.
So first of all, my name is Mohammed. I am the program coordinator for Runway. Runway is the Innovation Factory startup visa. All good? Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Oh, so thank you everyone for being here. My name is Muhammad. I'm the program coordinator for Runway at Innovation Factory. So I've been doing this for around 6 months or so. If you have any questions or something, you can stop me anytime. All right, let's get started. So what is, first of all, the startup visa? The startup visa, like any visa, it's a way to immigrate to Canada. And it does so by inviting people to immigrate by starting a business and creating jobs in Canada. So the startup visa itself is not the tool to immigration, but you can use it to obtain a temporary work visa, and eventually you can get a permanent residence with it. I do have to note, however, that the permanent residence is not guaranteed with the startup visa. It takes around 37 months to process, and then they give you a yes or no. Most of the time, almost always, it's been a yes. However, I do need to tell you that if they don't see you working on your startup and you're not using the startup visa to the best of your ability to help bring this idea to Canada, it's possible to get rejected from the permanent residence. So do be careful of that. If you do get startup visa, make sure you're really trying to make your startup happen, and you're really trying to make it successful in Canada. Okay. But who is the startup visa for exactly? So the IRCC, or the Immigration Refugee Citizenship Canada, has stated that it's for all immigrant entrepreneurs, which I'm assuming everyone here is. Anybody who's an entrepreneur, not a Canadian citizen, and wants to bring their innovation in their innovative startup to Canada is allowed to apply for a startup visa. Ideally, your startup should help create Canadian jobs. So anything that is a company that outsources, for example, works to another country is not under this criteria. So it will help Canadian jobs and can compete on a global scale. So this could be a globally recognized startup, or something that could compete with other startups globally. What is the eligibility for if you meet those criteria? So the IRCC has included some very strict red lines criteria that you need to be pass to be eligible to apply. And those are, for example, the Canadian language benchmark of 5 in the IELTS or CELPIP. So everybody knows IELTS, but the CELPIP is the Canadian version of it. I have a table here if anybody's wondering on the specific numbers, but you need to get the Canadian benchmark of 5, not 5 on the CLB. So it's a little different. Not 5 on the IELTS. It's 5 in the Canadian benchmark.
Muhammad,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think some of the guests may be not very good at listening English, this skill, and can I want from you to speak a little bit slower, because not everyone can can get
okay.
it. Thank you.
Sorry about that. No problem.
So thank you.
No. The Canadian language benchmark is what Canada has decided as the level of English that you need to have, and you show it through the IELTS test. So when you do the IELTS, they give you a result in listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And Canada has dictated that you need to reach a minimum of 5 in those test results. I'll actually show you the table here. So for Canada, level 5 means you need to get 5 in listening, 4 in reading, 5 in reading, and 5 in speaking. Anything above that is good. Anything under that is not gonna, you won't be eligible for the startup visa. So you won't be able to apply for startup visa. You also need to have 51% of the company shares as all founders. So everyone who is applying for the startup visa together need to have 51% of the company shares. So you need to own most of the company when applying for the startup visa. And every applicant, so every person on the application, needs to have at least 10% of the company. 10% per person and 51% total. You can have 1 to 5 applicants in the startup visa. So that's something I should say. You also need to have enough money to settle in Canada, and that's going to depend on who you're bringing with you on the work permit or on the permanent residence. So when you're applying for a startup visa, you'll be asked to show how much money you have. So for example, we have here what the requirements are according to the IRCC. So for example, if you have a wife and 2 kids, you would need to show $25,500 in a bank account or in an accessible way, and that's if you're not applying for permanent for a work permit. If you're applying for the startup visa with a work permit and you have a wife and 2 kids, then you would need to show $51,000 in accessible money, so money that you can spend while in Canada to start. And those are just the barriers or the first requirements that the IRCC has declared. But then there are other requirements from each designated entity. So what is a designated entity? There are 3 designated entities, and those are who will support you in getting a startup visa. So to get a startup visa, you need to get approval or support from one of those 3 designated entities. The first one is a venture capital fund. So this is an investment group, and they need to invest at least $200,000 in your startup. They will obviously take equity as well, but they will give you support through the startup visa if they fund your company. Angel investor group is another kind. So this is 1 or more investors, and they need to invest a minimum of $75,000 in your business, and they usually as well take equity. The last one that can support you in your startup visa are business incubators, and the only criteria there is to get accepted into their incubation program. But what are business incubators and accelerators? They usually work with startups to move their business forward, help them sell, help them grow, help them scale, commercialize. They are often, or they can operate as a nonprofit. What this means is that they are not a business themselves. So the incubators are not trying to make money from you. They're trying to help you. They can be funded from the government or from grants and things like that. And they usually will take no equity in your company. So they only ask that you participate in their program. So once you get accepted into a business incubator program, they'll support you through this program and through the startup visa to get you started on your journey to Canada and on your startup journey. Innovation Factory, which is our incubator, our accelerator, it's a business accelerator, and it provides advice, it provides training, it provides mentorship, and very importantly, it also provides connections to companies. I do have to say that Innovation Factory is in Hamilton, so a lot of the connections and trainings that you will get will be in Hamilton. It's simply because we are connected there. Innovation Factory is dedicated to helping you and scaling you, and having you own your own intellectual property, helping you create jobs and get more revenue from selling or from investments. And usually this is the 6 sectors that Innovation Factory specializes in. So these are sectors that Innovation Factory has worked a lot at and has very specific programs in, is very connected in, but is not the only sectors that Innovation Factory supports. So I need to make that very important. We accept all sectors from all fields into the runway program. However, these are the best sectors for us to support because we have very strong support in those areas. And I'll tell you more about that. Innovation Factory has been working for 14 years. We've helped many clients, 2,800. We've made 9,000 connections, and we've helped 720 million funds to be raised, and we've done so without taking a single equity from companies. So we're a nonprofit. We want to help you grow without taking anything from you. So Runway is the startup visa program by Innovation Factory. We are based in Hamilton, so a lot of things that happen will be in Hamilton. The cost for joining our Runway program is a $25,000 Canadian dollar fee. It's at the beginning of the program, $25,000, and then you can start the program right away. And what the program is, it's a 6-month program where we pair you with an expert advisor. So an expert advisor is someone who has lots of expertise in the area that you're working in or in the area that you need, for example, sales or marketing. And they've been doing this for years in the Canadian market, and they're here to help you for those 6 months, get you on the right path, help you commercialize, and get your startup to Canada and be successful. Other than the 6 months with your expert advisor, you also get 6 months of office space. So, and this doesn't have to be when you start the program. So you start the program, it takes you a year to come to Canada, for example, you can still get your 6 months of office space then. So whenever you want some office space, we'll be able to subsidize around 6 months of them. It's going to be usually in Hamilton. That's just because of where we're situated. Yeah. And then you also get access to our venture growth advisors. So these are Innovation Factory staff who are there to support you in gaining connections, resources, training, and a lot of things that we support our Innovation Factory clients, you will also get as a runway applicant. And actually, if you continue after your 6 months with the program, so it ends after the 6 months with your expert advisor, but after that, you can still become an Innovation Factory client if you're registered in Ontario or Canada, and then you can still get support from the venture growth advisor. So after 6 months of the program, you can continue to be an Innovation Factory client, and you can continue to get support from us. So what is the process for the runway program specifically? First of all, we ask you to apply online through our website. I'll give you a link to that later. You go through the application. It includes some questions around your business. It includes some personal questions around who you are, and it'll also include an area to upload a pitch deck. So this is a very important part of the application, is we like to see a pitch deck. It's very important to us to see what your business is and lots of details around your business before we invite you to an interview. If your application looks great, within 1 or 2 weeks, we'll respond and give you an interview. We will have the interview with you. It's going to occur in rounds because we usually like to interview every single applicant. So if someone can't meet on the first time, we'll have to, we just want to make sure that we meet everyone. It could all be at once, so that's not a problem, but we want to meet everyone in the founding team. We may have another round of interview as well if the area of expertise is difficult for us and we need an expert advisor to join in the interview. But usually it's one interview and we'll give you a response in 1 week saying we want you to do your due diligence, or it's been great, thank you. So if we move to due diligence, we'll give you a Google Drive folder and you'll need to upload some documents around, I think it's 14 documents that you have to upload. And those documents include things like business plan, it includes things like corporate documents, finances, proofs of the IELTS and proofs of your funding. So these are big documents. It takes usually, most people it takes them around a month to upload them. If you can do it as quickly as you can, we can review it within 2 weeks and get back with feedback, so we can continue working in the due diligence till it looks good. So the process can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. If you take a long time, it could even take months. But this step really depends on you uploading your documents as fast as possible, or however fast you want to upload them. Once you've uploaded your due diligence documents and all looks good, then we can invite you onto the program. We'll send you a contract and invoice, and you're officially on the program. So these are a couple of things that you'll see on the due diligence. And the ones I was talking about earlier, the first barriers by the RCC, and we'll ask you a business plan. So the business plan is the biggest part of the due diligence. We ask you to include as much details as possible. This is a lengthy document, and it needs to include everything that you can say about what you have and what you're going to do as well. If you have a parent company and you're applying for the startup visa, we also like to see company documents such as corporate documents, finances, any customer contracts you have, any intellectual property. And we just like to know more about the parent company and your previous experience with running a company. So that's the due diligence. Once that ends, we invite you onto the program and you're part of the Runway program. But we also have other programs at Innovation Factory that can support you other than Runway. So Academy, for example, is our online learning platform. Similar kind of think Udemy or those online LinkedIn Learning or things like that. Definitely not the same scale at all, but it's very focused for entrepreneurs, and it's focused to help you become a more well-rounded founder, to be a better founder. And so anyone can access this. You can access it right now. I'll give you a link to that as well. You go on the Academy and you can sign up and watch webinars and learn things that can help you in your application for the startup visa. We also have the Synapse Life Science Consortium. So that's a life science focused cluster of organizations in Hamilton. It also has 3 funds that can support you: the Healthy Fund, the Sophie Fund, and the Cometa Fund. So the Healthy Fund helps you in preparing everything for clinical trials. We have the Sophie Fund, which actually helps you through the clinical trials. And we have a Cometa Fund that helps you in manufacturing before or during your clinical trial. So it helps you manufacture any medical device or tools that you need. Idea Fund supports environment, sustainability, and growth. So this is for green initiatives. And if your company has parts of that embedded into the company, if you have part of your startup includes sustainability and green initiatives, that could also help you. We have our ownership program. So that's to inform you and support you in your intellectual property. Of course, intellectual property is very important in the startup visa. So if you join our Runway program, you can as well get some support from that program to boost your intellectual property strategy. Femtech Canada helps support Canadian entrepreneurs in the women's health innovation space specifically. So if you're a women's health innovator and you want to, and you join the Runway program, you can also get support through there. And lastly, we have a really big part of Innovation Factory called CITM, and it's very specifically dedicated for integrated transportation and mobility. And what that means is just smart cars and smart cones, things around transportation, whether it's trucks, traffic lights, things like that, things to innovate and improve, evolve the transportation and mobility. So if your company falls under that, you could definitely get some great help in Hamilton through our CITM process. And that's everything. You know, if you like what you heard, these are the next steps. You can go on our website to learn more about Innovation Factory. You read all the details. Everything I said is there. And you can also apply on our website. And if you have any specific questions that you don't want to ask now, you can reach out to us at suvp@innovationfactory.ca. So thank you everyone for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Yeah, that was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just realized that we, too soon jumped to the presentation, and I wanted you to introduce a bit yourself, your age, and have a little warm chat together, so that the guests can better know you, because we Iranians are a little bit how can I say, connectional. We want to be close to people before we work with them. And I would recommend that before answering to questions. I think the guests would like to know more about you.
Yeah, for sure. So Mahdi, please give me a second just to introduce myself quickly. So my name is Muhammad. I'm 24 years old. I'm very interested in the startup space. I love entrepreneurship. I've been working through my whole career with startups and in startups. I really like hearing about people's entrepreneurship journey and seeing people trying to create new things. Innovation is something that really excites me. And I've been with Innovation Factory since January. I've been always working with international entrepreneurs. That was kind of everything I've worked with. But with working with Runway for 6 months, and I've read lots of business plans, seen lots of companies come through, and it never gets old. It's just something I love seeing. Yeah, that's right. And actually, at the first, before your presentation, I told the guests that you can read the Arabic alphabet, and I told them that say Salam Muhammad. But that's a funny thing. Someone, Mr. Lutfi, has read Durud bar Muhammad. It means Salam in Farsi too. Oh,
yeah.
How do you say it?
Durud.
Gurud.
Yeah. Durud.
Durud.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks. So please ask questions for Muhammad.
Yeah.
I think Mehdi Meshkani, his hand raised and has a question, I think. Mehdi?
Thank you so much. It's led me this opportunity to have a question. Hi, Muhammad. Thank you so much for a clear explanation, and it's my pleasure to meet you in this session. I have a question, and I want to ask you, as a coordinator from the incubator, is it necessary or is it forced actually for a startup to work on the incubator location or not?
A great question. So you don't have to work in Hamilton at all. You can do everything virtually. It does take some time for anyone even to apply for the work permit and come to Canada. It's a long process. So if you want to do it virtually, most people have been doing it virtually. If you want to come to Hamilton or to Canada, you can also do that as well. You would have to be in around the Hamilton, Toronto region to meet with the advisors if you want, but you don't have to come here a lot. You can go to even Vancouver or somewhere far away from Ontario if you want. There's no specific rules around where you need to come to.
So it's so good because we are in the technology age, and almost all the startup work and the technology and virtually on their business. But I heard some incubators force on the startup just work on their location, and I think this is awful because this startup is international.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's for international startups, so we should be operating internationally, yeah, for sure.
And another question, what is your program for the startups to get them facilities? What is your facilities for the startups? For example, you get the space for the startups or not, advisors or anything else?
Yeah, for sure. So we have our office, the Innovation Factory office in Hamilton. Anybody can come use it 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. It has an open space that anybody can come work. We often have a lot of startups that go work there, so you can use that space whenever. Our advisors are sometimes there as well. And then there's also the 6 months of office space we offer. So once you're in Canada, through the Runway program, we'll offer you 6 months around Hamilton. So that's another way or another place you can work in as well.
And we have a problem now because the work permit issue is too late for Iranian. What happened? For example, when someone have a contract with your Innovation Factory, the program started for 6 months, but the visa issue is after 6 months. Actually, yeah. For the what happened for these facilities for the startups? It's continue after 6 months or not?
Yeah, it continues forever. So our space, as long as you're an Innovation Factory client, you've been to Runway, you can use our space forever. There is no limit on the 6 months. The office space, however, it can start whenever you want. So whenever you come to Canada, we can give you your own office space for 6 months. But if you want to use the Innovation Factory space, that is anytime throughout the year. I mean, there's no limit on when you can come use the Innovation Factory office.
Okay, thank you so much. I get
No
my
problem.
answers.
Wow.
Thank you. So Iman has a question. I don't know how to give access.
Hey, I'm Tina, Iman's wife. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
We appreciate your time, and we have a question.
Yeah, for sure.
We own a skincare brand here in Iran, and we do the distribution to galleries and drug stores here. And we wonder, can we consider this business as a startup in Iran, in Canada?
So it's a skincare business?
Yeah. We own some facial masks based on nature stuff.
Right.
And can you please explain about distribution system of Canada? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. This is a great question. Is who is eligible? Well, a big part of it is you need to be innovative. So the startup visa is for innovative companies who've created something that doesn't already exist or is competing with very few things. So I would say for a skincare product, it's not very innovative. It's something very well needed. It's something great, but it's not new. It's not unheard of in Canada. So if you want to apply for the startup visa, you need to have something new about it. Maybe something new about the skincare you do that is related to sustainability or environment. Your maybe the way you make it, or it comes from recycled material. I don't know, but you need to have something different about your product that doesn't already exist. So I would say just as a skincare distribution, it doesn't really apply for startup visa. As for the distribution channels in Canada, I'm not very sure. Maybe you'll have to connect with some experts on that, and we can make those connections if ever you're part of the program. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, we got it. But we wonder if we change our product in an innovative way, how can we distribute
Excuse me,
it?
Tina.
We have to. Yeah.
Excuse me, Tina. I will add one
Yes,
thing.
Farjad.
Mohammed, their product is organic, and I think their creativity is being organic. What do you think?
I would have to take a look at the business plan itself and see what other products are out there. I think organic skincare also is very common. I'm not very familiar with the area, so I'd have to do some research for sure. But you can do some research as well, and see what is out there if it is an innovative product in Canada. Yeah, and just do your best to make it different. If it's something that you already have and already exists worldwide, it's probably not innovative. But if it's something that you're still thinking of building and it's an idea you have that you can't see anybody else having, that's more likely to be innovative. But I do have to say, idea stage companies are less likely to be accepted than later stage companies. Right.
I appreciate your answer.
No problem at all. So I think we have one more question.
One more question from Nafis. Nafis, please.
Hi, thank you for your time. I have some questions, and I would appreciate it if you can answer them.
Of course.
We have a startup and we are working on that. We have pitch deck, business plan, and all other documents that is needed. But we need some advisors and tutors to improve our business plan and marketing model. I would like to know if you have these kind of support or not. Also, I would like to know, are there any other costs besides that $25,000 that you told, like application fees or something like that? Please answer these, then I will ask others.
For sure. You ask as many questions as you want. For the first question of can we support you with the business plan and marketing and things? Of course we can. That's a big part of us helping you in the runway program itself. However, I do have to say that you need to be a part of the program for you to get this support. And I know that sounds opposite, that you need to join with a business plan to get help on your business plan, but the business plan that you're applying with in your due diligence and the things that you need. So we just need to see that you've thought about your business and you have a good plan, and that you have a plan. It doesn't have to be a great plan, but you just need to show us that you've thought about Canada and you've thought about what you're going to be doing here. So you don't need to have an excellent business plan when applying, but we'll work with you and make it much better, make it much more realistic in terms of the go-to-market strategy and things like that when you do join. So that's for the business plan and marketing information. In summary, you need to have something, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And we'll work with you once you're on the program to make it as best as possible. As for the fees, it's a $25,000 fee. There's nothing after, nothing before. Once you're on the program, that's it. And we're a nonprofit, so we use these $25,000 to deliver the program for you. But nothing. We don't. Those $25,000 don't include things like lawyers or immigration or everything non-related to Innovation Factory. That's just for that you would have to pay for those separately yourself. But $25,000 is for the startup visa, the letter of support, the program, just everything runway related. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it was great. Based on what you told, it would take less than 3 months to get the after due diligence. I would like to know after that how much time it would take to get the letter of support, because I've heard it would take about 2 or 3 years to take the visa after we applied.
Good question. So the whole process could take around a month and a half to apply. From application to acceptance. If you do your due diligence really quickly, all the process can take less than a month. And then when you do your contract and invoicing, we can start working on your letter of support right away. So within a month and a half of your application, we can start working on your letter of support and sending it back and forth, making sure it looks perfect for when we send it to the government. There's no need to wait for even the program to end. If we've accepted you onto the program, that means we are willing to support you in Canada as a startup. So you can get the letter of support right away. I think what you've heard about the 2 or 3 years to get it, it's the 2 or 3 years to get the permanent residence. Because once you get the letter of support, you can use that to apply for the permanent residence, and you can use it to apply for a work permit. So the startup visa is a way to apply for these things. Once you've applied for the permanent residence, it's a 37 months processing time. So you will get an answer in 37 months of whether you are accepted for PR or not, or accepted for a permanent residence or not. Most of the time, and like I mentioned earlier, most of the time people are accepted. However, if you don't show that you are actively working on your business and you're not engaged in helping your company grow in Canada, it's a possibility to get rejected for a permanent residence after 37 months.
Okay, thank you. Another question is that should all shareholders apply for the startup visa? Because I've heard for the USA startup visa, all the shareholders should have the same plan and all of them should apply. Is the same for the Canada or not?
For the Canadian startup visa, we can only have 5 applicants. So if it's 5 founders, it's really up to you who wants to apply. Ideally, the more senior you are, the more likely you should be on the letter of support, should be on the application. So for example, if you're a startup with 3 founders, the CEO, the CFO, and the COO, ideally we would like to see the CEO on the application. It just looks better, and that because they run the program and they want to be the executive, director in Canada. So if they're making all the decision, we would like them to be part of the startup visa, but it's not a requirement. So there's no requirement on who should be on the application or who can be on the application, but it looks better if the CEO is on it, and the maximum of people on the application is 5. So 5 people maximum, 1 minimum, obviously, and ideally we would like to see the CEO on it.
Okay, and I want to know if any employer can apply or not, just shareholders.
Good question. So for a big corporation, you would need the Canadian entity, whoever is applying, to have 51% of shares. So if you're currently in a company or you're an employee and you don't have any shares, you would need to have at least 10% in the Canadian company that you're applying for, and you would, as all founders, so all 5 founders, need to have at least 50%. So for example, you have the 2 founders who own 100% of the company and an employer are applying, then the employee would need at least 10% of the company, and then the founders can have the other 90%. But everyone applying needs to have at least 10% shares, and everyone combined, or the total combined, needs to be at least 50%, 51%.
Okay, thank you. I would like to send our documents for your for your program. I want to know if I should apply from website or in person for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, Dan, maybe you want to jump in here and say, that we are working together as partners. So if there's to help you, and make this quicker and more efficient, if you would like to send your application to Yazdan first, Yazdan will give you any feedback or anything that you need to change before applying. And that way we can get a much faster process time. So I say if you're working with visa roles or something, just send them to Yazdan and he'll support me in getting them through very quickly.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
No problem. But if you do want to apply yourself on our website, I'll send Yazdan's going to send you the presentation and the links are all there.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
No problem. Sounds good. Any other questions?
All right, it was very well. I saw that Zachary, Brent, and
right.
And Richard are here. I want to say hi to them, and we would be happy if they could just spell some words here, and we could hear to them. Also, I think that Muhammad Jawad has another question.
Right.
And guys, thank you for helping. Yeah.
Can I just jump in before and say, I want to introduce my colleagues as well. Brent and Zach and Richard, they're all working with us, and specifically Brent is the manager for the ownership program. So if you have any IP related questions or things, please ask away. He'll be an expert on that. And Zachary is our academy. He runs the academy website. So if you have any questions on that and how to access it, what information is on there, please ask away also as well. And Richard is the program manager for Runway, so he'll know much more than me. If you have any tough questions, please ask away. As Muhammad, please go ahead with your question.
Hello, thank you very much for your time. My question is about when you issue the letter of support, before or after you sign the contract, and when we should pay the application fee, actually.
Good question. So once we finished with the due diligence and everything looks good, we'll invite you onto the program. If you accept, then we send you a contract. A contract is something you have to sign just to bind that you've agreed, and we set some rules. Once you've signed the contract, we send you the invoice for $25,000. Once that is paid, we can start working on your letter of support. So the letter of support comes after you've been accepted, signed, and paid for the program.
Thank you. And other question was when you want MVP for business plan and other stuff like that. Actually, MVP for issue for letter of support. Do you need MVP or just due intelligence document?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question about having an MVP in general. So we like to see companies in later stage. So if you're in efficiency or scaling stage, if you have a company that is growing, we would more likely be to accept you. If you're a very early stage, it's an idea or you're discovering or you're still building your MVP, it'll be tougher for you to get an acceptance, although it's still possible. So we look at all stages of a company. We can accept anyone from idea to scale, but you would just need to show, for example, good funding, lots of experience and expertise in the field if you're a very early stage. In terms of having an MVP, great. We love seeing that companies have really started working on their product and that they're moving forward with it, regardless of runway or not. So if you have an MVP, that's going to help you a lot in your application, but it's not necessary. So if you don't have one yet, you're always welcome to apply. You may get a response of, you're too early, please build it first and then apply again. Or if you have expertise in the field and you have good funding and everything else looks great, we can support you regardless and then help you build the MVP.
Thank you very much.
No problem. And if he's had another question?
Yeah, I want to know, we need to find an investor, and I would like to know if you have any plan to introduce us to some investors or not.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So if you're on the Runway program, then you are an Innovation Factory client. And as I mentioned earlier, we have lots of connections in the Hamilton area and generally in Southern Ontario. So we have lots of connections with angel networks and lots of venture capital. So we can definitely introduce you and help you get, a meeting with them. We can't do the fundraising for you, but we can get you some connections, some meetings, and get you working on getting them to get you to invest in you. So we can't help you in raising funds, but we can support you in meeting people that would give you funds. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Mahdi, you had a question?
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Mohammed, for your explanation about other questions. I have questions between the submitted and the visa issue. Is it something need to do startup for the officer, for example, to report to the officer to issue the visa faster or not?
You mean from getting the letter of support to getting the work visa?
Yes. After they get the letter of support and submitted all the documents for the officer, we are waiting for the work permit visa. Okay.
Yep.
Should something for the officer or report something to them or not, as a web form, for example?
That's maybe a question.
We have a milestone. We have a milestone in our business, and we're going forward every day, and we work on business. What should I do? What should we do in this situation between the submitted and waiting for the work permit visa?
As far as I know, what you can do is wait. That's really your only option after applying for the work permit. There's not much you can do to make it faster or anything like that, as far as I know. Maybe this is a question more for a lawyer. I can connect you one if you want. But from what I've heard and from what I know, you make the application and then it's around a 3 or 4 months turnaround before you can get your work permit.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Sounds good. Richard, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Richard Brownston, the program manager of the Startup Visa program at Innovation Factory. I'd just like to say thank you, Mohammed, for excellent introduction to what we have and what we're running, and answering so many thoughtful questions from this audience. I'm so pleased to see you're engaged and interested in coming to Canada and coming to bring your businesses here. We want to support that journey as best as we can. If we can't help you, then we might know people who can help you. So one example of that, although we might not be able to help you prepare your business plan for the application, we might know some local consultants that might be able to help you if it's not ready for us yet. That's just to let you know there are other services out there that we're connected to that might be able to help you prepare your due diligence or prepare your business plan and give you another set of eyes before you go into our application process. We'd be happy to help you with that application once it gets into us. So good luck to you all as you grow your businesses. The best thing to do is keep working on your startups, keep getting that evidence, that traction of your ideas being innovative and being able to provide Canadian jobs. That's what the government is really looking for, and we want to support that as best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
All right. No other questions?
Is there any questions? I have a question for myself.
Yeah.
Nafis, please wait. I will ask my questions, then I will give the mic to you. Actually, there are many questions about the the reputation of the different letter of supports from different organizations, different designated organizations. I wanted to make sure if it's a correct thing, or is it related to the incubators or the accelerators that are that are in the collision, or the there was it. Let me ask that on the Canada Tech, on the Canada Tech and something like that. Are LOS letters different from each other?
Good question. As far as we know, there's not much of a difference. There's the only difference is what it's coming from. So if it's a venture capital or angel or accelerator, we do have heard that some accelerators are on a fast track list, although that's not public, and it's just something maybe internal. And we've heard that we're on that list, but we're not. There's no confirmation or anything like that. But as far as we know, I don't know, Richard, have you heard of anything about that?
So all I would say is that if you've never seen a letter of support, it's a government document, and all the designated incubators use the same letter of support. It may be the case that some government officials have potentially started looking more carefully at letters of support from some designated organizations that they know have been sending sub-quality businesses. We don't have any proof of this information. This is just what you might call hearsay, things that you hear people say. So we're fortunate in that Mohammed has said we have a good reputation, and the government is happy to receive our letters of support, and we also don't do the highest number of applications that we could. Like some incubators really push their numbers of letters of support very high, and it can maybe look suspicious that they're generating so many letters of support for so many companies. We really like to take our time to select quality applicants, and that shows through in the process when our letters of support get to the government. So as you can see, we're a reputable organization. We've been around for a long time, and we've got a lot of programs, and a lot of it is supported by the government already. So I'd really recommend, looking at Innovation Factory's website, looking at what we have to offer, as well as just the Runway program. We're here to support for the long term, and the support we offer is often free. The Runway program is paid for because it's an international program. But for Canadian companies, once you get that Canadian registered address, we have so much support that we can offer you for free.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Yeah, now I got my answer. Nafis, did you have any questions or?
Yeah. To continue your question, I've been heard that some of the incubators like fraud, and they get money from startups and they give them letter of support, so they don't have good reputation in the Canadian government. So I would like to know if you have any proof of this successful applicant that you say, like, how can we make sure how much the successful applicants?
That's a great question, Nafis. And we've heard that as well. Some incubators or accelerators will accept any applicants, as Richard was saying, take the money, and then there's no program or nothing after that. But we would like to pride ourselves in our, we take time in the reading the applications, choosing them, and then giving them a good program that will support them. In terms of proof, so none of our previous applicants have been long enough to receive the PR. So the only proof I can give you is, their testimonials and what they've said about the startup visa and that they've liked working with us. That's really as much as we can show you in what we've had already in the past. In terms of what we would work with you in the future, our program is a very good one. It's solid. It really does support you for the 6 months you are with such a very highly skilled person. So I'm sure you're not gonna feel like we're taking just your money and that's it. So the program is definitely a big part of Runway. Richard, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, just to say, again, echoing what Mohammed has said, we are, fairly new. The program does take a long time for permanent residents to come through. The first couple of work permit applicants have arrived in Canada that have come through our program. And we hope that will all go smoothly for them and that they will be able to get their permanent residence. And that's where we are right now. It's an ongoing process, and we hope to be able to continue to provide more and more reassurance to our applicants that we are a great place to land.
Okay, thank you. Also, I have another question. Let's take that we got the visa and we are in Canada now. I want to know, I've been heard that there is a new law that gives how can I say, applicants work permit. I would like to know how startups works at in the first stage. They don't have any income. I would like to know if there is any work permit, like we could get a part-time job for just earning money for our few months.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm glad that you're hearing that and you're very connected to the news. So it is true. The government said that they're going to start issuing an open work permit. That's the word you're looking for. So there's a closed work permit where you're only allowed to work on the the business and what you're coming to Canada for. And there's an open work permit where you're allowed to take any job and anything while you're in Canada. So there is news that the work permit for the startup visa is going to become a 3-year open work permit. So that's going to help you, you know, take, as you said, a part-time job or do other jobs while you're working on your business. For now, it's just news. And you'll get to know the Canadian government. News takes a while to become reality. So when will this happen? Not this year for sure. Probably somewhere mid next year or end of next year. We don't know yet exactly the timeline, but for it to become right now it's a closed work permit, and it could be 1 to 2 years, depends on your application. But I would say, you know, don't let that hold you up from applying. Unless that's a very important for you. I would say, you know, God knows when they're actually going to implement this as a work permit. So unless that's a very critical part in your plan, I would say you can also, if you get a closed work permit, you can apply for the open one later once they do release it, so that you can upgrade it as you say. But I would say don't let that be a factor when choosing when to apply.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Madia.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to know that is it possible for the startup to get the fund and have a negotiation with the investor in the work permit period, or they should wait for getting to a PR and after that they can?
Sorry, make a negotiation for what? Sorry.
For the get the invest from the investor, because I heard from some incubator, and they told us you should wait after to get the PR, and after that you can get the invest. Is it possible to get the fund or invest in the work permit period or not for the startups? Because when the essential person enter into the Canada with the work permit, he can have a bank account, he can do anything in the Canada as a citizen, I think.
Yeah, for sure. If he's saying, is it possible? It's definitely possible to get investment before you get the PR. Is it harder? It's probably harder. But I think, you know, if you're willing to try, there's always lots of people who are willing to listen to you in your pitches. So it doesn't hurt to try, even if you're just on a work permit. You can always try again once you received your PR. This is something, you know, I can't give you the best advice. You maybe have to connect you with a investor. But I think, you know, you're right. It's definitely easier if you have the PR, and they would like to see that. But it's not impossible. People can definitely get investment before that. Richard, did you want to add on to that?
Only to add that that's right. There's no rule or there's no law stopping you raising investment. The only thing that will stop you is your ability to communicate your idea clearly and succinctly to an investor. And some investors are quite risk averse. So it's going to need to be a very strong, very clear opportunity and pitch to the investors for them to want to jump on board and be your investment partner.
Thank you so much, Richard. Then the PR, having the PR is more trust for the investor, just. But the ability for the term sheet negotiation is so important that the PR, yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
So,
no problem.
I'm just interrupting to say that it wasn't, you know, I told Mohammed that it's a 1 hour meeting, so we want all to have all their questions, but I want to tell that if you know, you guys have work to do, you can go, but if we can have you here, it's our pleasure. But yeah. I wanted to tell them, to the guests, that that was our promise. So you choose. We want you to be here and you know, help us.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Yazan, being very thoughtful of you. I'm able to stay, no problem. I booked off until 12, so if there's any other questions, I'm able to stay for as long as needed. And Nafis, you had a question?
Yeah, I would like to know if your organization acts as an angel investor. Like I've been heard some of the incubators and angel investors invest in the startups and get shares like $75,000 or something like that, and just get the share, and so we can act. We can continue our program like that. I'm not sure if I said it correctly or not.
Yes.
If you understand or not.
Yes, definitely. You're asking if we can invest in a startup, and the answer is no. We do not invest any money into a startup or take any equity in them. We are solely here. We're only here to help you grow with advice and connections and resources. We take zero equity and we invest $0. However, we have lots of connections with angels. If that's something you're interested in and very important to you, we can definitely connect you to them, get you a meeting or interview with them, and maybe then you can take it from there. But in terms of Innovation Factory itself, we do not invest in anything.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Mahdi?
Sorry, I remember my question one by one after that. We know about the proof of fund for this. About the one proof of the fund is for the settle in the Canada for the family. Okay, I heard about the second proof for the business, but we don't have anything in the website, in the IRC's website, about that. What's your idea about that? How much we should show for the officer or for the Canadian government to start our business? For example, some incubators said us you should show minimum 15,000 Canadian dollars for start your business at least. What is your opinion about that?
Good question. So you're right. There is the personal proof of funds, and that's the to settle, they say, so to be able to live in Canada. And there's also the proof of funds for your company to say that you have enough money to invest in your company and grow it and pay the business expenses. That is not something the IRCC has explicitly said. So it's not on the website, but it is something all designated entities will want to look at. And it's something that the IRCC would want to see in the due diligence. So when we look at your company, we want to see that you have money to invest in the company to help it grow. It takes a lot of money to invest to start a company in Canada. So we usually like to say somewhere around 100,000 Canadian dollars if it's very early stage. So it's kind of a balance thing. If you're very late stage and you have revenue and you have customers, then you can show less money. But if you're very early stage and it's idea or discovery, then you need to show a lot of money. Is that right?
Yeah, and I would also say that the amount of money you are showing matches your business plan requirements. So you will upload your financial forecast and your business plan, and it will say how much money you need in month 1, month 2, month 3. And you should be able to show that you have that money and it lasts you until your ideal fundraising period or your next injection of capital. So it's all planned out and it's clear and it matches the amount that you need and the amount that you have. They all make sense together.
Thank you so much. I get my answers.
No problem. Sounds good. Any other questions?
So anyone else?
Samira, yeah. Never mind.
Hi Richard, and Salam Mohammed, and nice to meet
Yeah.
you. And I thank you for sharing your time with us and gave us this type of useful information. And I can't speak English very well, and I apologize for that. I know the visa startup is a good way for us to extend our business or immigrated to Canada. And I have two questions. First one is I read some news about something maybe change in coming year. For example, I read I can request it for open work permit from 3 years to 5 years.
Mhm.
Is that right? And second one is could you please explain about tax in Canada?
Right. Salam Amira, thank you for that question. You have great English, by the way. In terms of the open work permit, yes, they did. That is true. They did announce it, and they say it's going to happen. They haven't said when, and they haven't said more details about that. They just said it's going to happen. So likely it's going to be sometime around, middle of next year, end of next year. We're not exactly sure. That's usually how long it takes for the government to announce something and to implement it. But as I said earlier, to Nafis, if that's not very critical for your application, I would say apply, get the closed work permit, and then you can upgrade it to an open work permit when it's time, or apply for a work permit when it's time. Yeah. And in terms of taxes, Canada loves taxes. We have lots of it. There's taxes on everything. It's something you learn to live with. It's just a part of the Canadian culture. I mean, you'll get used to it. In Ontario, for example, we have 13% sales taxes. We have property taxes. We have it's in everything.
Okay, my question about our business tax.
Business tax specifically.
Yes, after we entered Canada.
A good question. From what I know, business taxes are less, and there's specific when you have a business account, for example, and you purchase things or you do things for your business, there are tax write-offs that you can put in. So it's going to help you pay less taxes. There's still going to be taxes for sure, but this is something that I would advise you get an accountant or a lawyer to be more sure about this. I don't have expertise in that field, but I do know that there are advantages to startups and grants, funds, tax breaks for startups. Richard, do you know any more than that?
Only to say that Innovation Factory is partnered with accounting firms that will take a meeting with you to talk about the tax implications of your business in Canada once you start the program.
Thank you, Richard and Mohammed. And I ask a question that in not related to our discussion. Mohammed is your real name?
Yeah, my name is Muhammad. I'm from Egypt. So real name, it wasn't Muhammad, it was Muhammad Yahya, but in Canada we use last names, so it became Muhammad when I came to Canada.
Okay, great. Thank you, and nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Nafis, you had another question?
Yeah, I would like to know, when can we register a company in Canada and open a bank account? And how much time it would take? How is the process?
For sure. So you can actually register your company in Canada anytime. There's no limit on where you have to be or anything. The only thing is you need to have an address. An Innovation Factory, if you become a Runway client, you can use our address to register your company. So there's no limit on when you can register it. And sorry, what was the other part of the question?
I want to
banking.
know if we register the company, if we are able to open a bank account.
To open a business bank account, I'm not sure. It's not, again, my expertise, but from what I know is you just need to have a registered bank account. A registered company to start a business bank account. Is that right, Richard? Do you know more about this?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. You can register your business before joining a program. Several of our participants do. You might use the services of a local lawyer to do the registering service on your behalf. And there are services as well that provide an address for you before you get here. Sometimes law firms or accountants offer those spaces, or sometimes it's co-working spaces. You can have a registered address. I'm not sure what the requirements are for the business bank account. I imagine it is at least the registered business and address in Canada. It may be more than that, but I'm not sure.
I think I'm looking online quickly here, and I believe you also need to be on a work permit or something to open a business account. But again, I'm not sure. This is just some Google information.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Mahdi, you had a question?
Oh yeah, I promise this is my last question.
No, keep asking.
What is the interesting for Innovation Factory for accepting a startup? What's the specific field for Innovation Factory? For example, Innovation Factory work on health, mental health field or not?
That's a good question. So you'll see in our slide, I put 6 sectors that Innovation Factory is really specialized in, but we look at all fields. Any field we're willing to look at and we're willing to support. You will get more support or more help from the Innovation Factory if you're one of those 6 sectors. And very specifically, for example, we have the Life Science Consortium. So it's a consortium of 8 health-related partners specializing in life sciences. So if you're a medical device company or anything life science related company, you would get a lot of support from Innovation Factory. If you're smart transportation mobility, if you're trying to make a smart vehicle related items, you get a lot of support. If you're female founder for health innovations, very simple things like that. So we have 6 sectors that we can help more in, but we're willing to look at all fields.
Okay. Then you covered all the fields, actually.
Yeah. Amir, you had a question?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for your good session. I wasn't there from the beginning of the meeting. I need to know, have you talked about cost?
Yeah.
The incubator cost.
For sure, I can tell you again. So we have a one-time 25,000 Canadian dollar fee. So when you get accepted onto the program and you sign the contract, we'll send you an invoice for $25,000. It's a one-time fee. There's nothing else included. There's no fees later. It's 25,000 for the 6 months of the program.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And the fees.
I've been heard, sorry for my too many questions. I've been heard if one of the applicants rejects while getting their visa for any reason, other applicants will reject too. Is it true or not? So
good question. We have not seen any work permit rejections yet. It has taken a long time. So right off the top of my head, I remember one example where all of the founders except one got their work visa, and then he got it later. It just took some longer time, but one of them still hasn't gotten. But there's no rejections for the work permit that we've heard of. It's just it takes sometimes longer. That's it.
Yeah, and it may be the case that if an applicant, an essential member of the team, is rejected Perhaps they have a criminal record that they didn't talk about. It may affect the entire application. So there are checks in place for the entire essential team.
Okay, how the government checks all the information they need, like they get this from the country, or they do it internationally? How is it?
So that's going to be part of your application for the work permit. So we advise you do that with a lawyer because it's a very difficult process. But there's things including your biometrics, things like Richard said, criminal records and things like that. So there's a lot of documents that go into your work permit application. One of it is the letter of support, but there's other things that are included. And you can do all those extra documents in any country internationally, in Iran for sure. So those things you can do in your own country, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Sounds good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, Mohammed. Please explain for me how can I meet PR in this situation with visa, startup. How can we PR in Canada?
Good question. So when you apply for the startup visa and you get our letter of support, or you join our program, we create something called the letter of support. So the letter of support is a government document that we send part of it to the government, and we give you a part of the letter of support, and then you use it to apply for the permanent residence or for the PR. So the government has from us a document saying that we support you, and you have this letter to saying that we support you. And then when you apply, it's a 37 months processing. So in 37 months, the government will say, yes, you get your permanent residence, or no, you don't get it. But for those who are applying for the permanent residence, there's a very important part when you're doing it through the startup visa is that you need to show you're working on your startup. You need to show that you're actively trying to make your innovation come to Canada, and you're trying to grow and you're working on it. If you don't show that, there's a small chance you don't get your permanent residence. But it's to make sure that you're good, apply for the startup visa, use the letter of support to apply for the permanent residence, and then put a lot of work into your startup and bringing it to Canada, and show that through your immigration lawyers. Tell them to show the government in your application that you're really putting in effort and a lot of work in your business.
Excuse me. After we get LOS and we are in Canada, how long we can meet PR? 3 years or more than?
Right now, the processing time they say is 37 months. So from when you apply, the day you submit the application and you get the confirmation, it takes 37 months for them to give you an answer. 37 is 3 years and 1 month. There's been some talks about trying to shorten it and things like that, and we've heard fast track list or not. But for as far as I know, it's 37 months.
Thank you for your attention.
Sounds good.
So I think now the questions are just ended. Yeah, if anyone have any questions, that's the last call. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's beaded.
Nice.
So yeah, so Richard, Mohammed, I think Zachariah and Brent are out of this meeting, but thank you very much. It was a pleasure for us, and as you see, there were too many questions and maybe too many stereotypes about this road of immigrating and road of starting a business. So thank you for being here and answer the questions, and thank you for all the presentations and great information.
No problem.
You provided.
No problem.
So if there are any last suggestions or recommendations or anything, please, we'd like to listen.
Yeah, no more. I think I've heard your ears from all the talking, but I just want to say thank you for having us, Yazdan, and thank you all for joining us and listening, and thank you for the great questions. You know, it's never a bad question. Please ask as much as you want, and I'll send you, Yazdan, the presentation, and please forward it to all of them. Thank you. You're gonna find on there our email if you have any more questions that you just remembered. You'll find also the Academy website and the ownership, so that if you are interested in those as well, yeah, I'll that's the follow up. And if there's anything, please connect with me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can just Google Innovation Factory Canada, and everything is just there.
Yes. Thank you very much for taking the time to give us a great answer. This is very valuable to me.
No problem at all. No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
So have a great day.
You as well. Take care.
Bye-bye.